Hey, you there. Yeah, you. Not that person sitting next to you. I'm talking to you right now. Hi, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of this wonderful place called Calf's Corner. I'm so excited, man. It's been a while, I've been hella busy, nonstop. If you're wondering why I gathered you here today, I'm gonna talk about the top 10 things that I wish I could tell my younger self when I joined the fandom, right? I did a video in the past of 10 things I would tell myself, but this is 10 things I would tell myself when I joined the actual furry fandom. It'd be around 2016 when I joined the fandom. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like a long time ago, but man, I got that gray muzzle energy going right now. It's just wild to kind of think about how long that's been, So these are not in any particular order, right? They are all important things that I would honestly try to incorporate more, I mean, I've had a great time in the furry fandom, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not leaving a nasty Yelp review where I'm
ugh, the furry fandom, 1.5 stars.
This is just more of things that I probably should have done to have a bit more of a better time, So if I had a rewind button, right, and I could go back into the furry fandom all over again, the first thing I would do is drink less. Furries, they drink a lot at parties. I don't know what it is, but the moment there's a room party going on, people are just cracking open the Jack Daniels. There's just cans everywhere. I've been to so many that even have a keg. People are doing keg stands on the floor. I was kind of one of those people, right? I was down there in the trenches hitting kegs. I mean, it's all really fun, right? Don't get me wrong, I do like a good drink every now and then, but coupled with just being in the Air Force, right? The military likes drinking. I don't really know how else to put this, but every time you go to an event, there's usually some kind of beer or whatever at that. So couple that with what I was doing in the furry fandom, it's pretty much a recipe for, I don't know, man, I was drunk for probably 60% of my time in the fandom. I've cut back. I've cut back a lot more, but it's so hard to keep your memory straight. Thank God I have photos of when I went to conventions, because I'll wake up and I'm man, I don't ever remember talking to these people, or who are these people? What did I do? It's almost like The Hangover. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not, but that was pretty much me every night of a con. And yeah, it's just not good for your liver, right? I would definitely look out for my health more if I had the chance to do it over again in the furry fandom. The next one is going to be responding to messages and social media in general. I have a lot of OCD and I'm getting over it for the most part. Getting over it. I'm cured. No, I'm trying to keep it under control. Anytime I had a notification or something I had to respond to, I would just immediately respond, right? When I first joined the fandom. And now, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because I've been so freaking busy or I'm just exhausted all the time, right? I just don't have that mental bandwidth to respond to stuff as often as I did. And I know conversations are a two-way street, right? You can't just sit there and be
why is nobody talking to me? I've just been sitting here, right?
You got to reach out to other people too. I was just kind of sitting there and I'm man, it's hella quiet out here. Why isn't nobody talking? Honestly, if I had a chance of doing it over again in the furry fandom, I would kind of taper my social media usage and not just be glued to my phone the whole time. Because man, there's just so much stuff going on in life and I feel I miss all of it when I'm on that phone. Not to sound like a boomer or anything, but man, there's a lot of memories and conversations you can have with people, especially if they're sitting right in front of you, right? If I'm having dinner with you, if you and I are going to a convention and we have lunch at the hotel lobby, don't expect me to be on my phone that much. I love being invested in talking to people. When everybody's just sitting around at the table on their phones, it's bro, come on now. Another thing I would change if I joined the furry fandom, I would do YouTube with more of a healthy outlook. When I first joined, all of my influences and stuff were Majira Strawberry, Picari Roo, Vixen, right? All of these really awesome and amazing creators. I kept comparing myself to everybody. I would make a video, at the very beginning, right? A video would have 59 views. And I'd be well, I guess I suck as a human being, right? Comparing yourself to others steals any kind of joy you have in that moment. There's a saying, comparison is the thief of joy. What that means is if you keep comparing yourself to other people, you're just never gonna be happy. You're never ever going to get to that point. It's not you reach some magical number on whatever platform you're at. Oh man, if I hit 75,000 subscribers, right? I'm just gonna be happy forever. No, man, what happens is you get to 75,000 and you're like, man, if I just get to 85,000, you know, like then things are gonna change. You're never gonna be happy unless you're happy with your circumstances, right? Like, don't compare yourself to others. That's what I would definitely tell myself if I started the furry fandom over again. I feel like I did a lot of comparison of my channel in the very beginning to other channels and stuff. That was like the furry zeitgeist of YouTube. There was just so much furry content coming out. I mean, there's still a lot coming out now, right? But it's nowhere near the levels of like 2016, 2017. The furry fandom was popping off that time. It was wild. If I had a chance to do it over again, I would just do YouTube for the fun of it. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. I am literally just making this video to share with y'all some stuff, right? Like, I don't care if this video has like 3 views or 3 billion, right? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm doing this for me. And I'm doing this for you. Yeah, you right there. I'm doing this for you. Another thing that I would do if I had a chance of starting this furry fandom experience, this extravaganza over again, I would join a lot younger. I was just not a furry for the longest time. I was actually an anti-fur. I've covered this before in like previous videos, and it was projection. I was afraid other people would find out that I liked furries. So in order to kind of like, I don't know, like seem tough and seem strong, right? I was just kind of like, well, if I keep making fun of furries, my friends are gonna think like, man, this guy's really mean, you know, really mean. I think he's absolutely 100% not a furry. Truth be told, the people that are the loudest against furries are generally gonna be furries at some point. Think of it this way. Think of something that you don't like. For me, I'm not a huge fan of raisins. I also don't go around like telling everybody that I don't like raisins. I had to actually sit here and think about something I don't like. Had I not been so vehemently opposed to furries, I definitely would have started a lot younger because I'm getting old, man. I don't know if you could, well, you probably can't tell, right? I'm wearing a fursuit head right now, but like I'm getting to that point now where I'm kind of like, I'm having a great time, but if I started younger, would I have an even better time, right? Those thoughts keep creeping into my head. And you know, I have an opportunity to meet a lot more furries. I get a chance to see where the fandom kind of started at that time and where it is now. If I joined back in like, I don't know, 2007, the furry fandom would have been a completely different place. Another thing I would do 100% if I was to start this furry fandom journey over again, I would not tell everybody that I'm a furry. Like, all the time in casual conversation. I'm not talking about like mentioning it when it's natural in the conversation. Not that it usually is, right? It's not just like, hey, nice weather we got going on.
Hey, by the way, I'm a giant golden retriever.
When I first joined, I was so excited about the furry fandom. I mean, I still am, right? Like when I first joined, I was so excited about the furry fandom that I was telling everybody, their grandmothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, roommates, uncle, that I was a furry. I mean, everybody was nice about it, right? Like I never really had a lot of backlash, but at the same time, once you tell somebody, like you can't really take it back. And most of the time I was telling people I was a furry was at work. I would just have constant reminders that I told people I was a furry. Like I would just have a regular day at work and then somebody would casually drop something in a conversation, vaguely furry coded, you know, where it's just kind of like, hey, I got a new collar for my dog. You over there, Calf. This is something you'd know about, right? Like that kind of stuff. Yeah, I would just keep it a bit more of a secret. At my current job right now, right? Like I really haven't told anybody I'm a furry and I've been A-okay. I've still been a part of the fandom. I still do what I do. I'm just a bit more discreet with it, right? Another thing I would do if I were to join the furry fandom over again would be to do more art. I've been like doing art stuff like since I was in kindergarten, right? I did a video about like why I even got started drawing. It was because I was jealous of this kid, right? Until I found out he was tracing. So I kept practicing and practicing until I could get better than him. Because I'm like stupid competitive for some reason whenever it comes to things that just don't matter. I would take all of that experience doing art, right? And bring it with me into the furry fandom. I do furry art on occasion, but nowhere near like the amount I did prior to joining. I would definitely do a lot more art. You know, it's a good outlet, right? You gotta have something you can do that isn't just one thing in the furry fandom. You know, making videos is fun and all, right? It's like an art form, but I do kind of like drawing and I feel like I really should have done a lot more of that joining the fandom. Another thing I would do in the furry fandom is to not be so Puritan. So like, when I first created my YouTube channel, right? Like I had this, I don't know, it was kind of like this self-image I had of myself where I was like, all right, No cussing, no thinking dirty thoughts, right? Like just nothing. Separate yourself from that environment. And if anybody even expresses interest in it, like just be like, huh, not in my furry fandom. It doesn't help anybody when you're like that. Like, I feel like I've kind of muddied the waters for some friendships because of that, you know? Rather than just be kind of like shutting people off because of what they're into, right? I was just kind of like, nope, I have to be 100% squeaky clean all the time. I don't know, man. It never helped. It never helped, right? Like, I don't feel like I'm one step closer to furry heaven, right? Because of that. It's kind of silly, right? When I think about it. This is just me. This is me. I've grown up, you know? Like, having been in the fandom long enough now, I'm just kind of like... So if I were to join the fandom again, I would be a lot more open, discussing more adult stuff. I'm not gonna get into it for this video, right? Because like, I don't wanna like freaking age restrict this video, but I would be a lot more open to like what the furry fandom has to offer it. Another thing I would do is to stop trying to convert people into the furry fandom. Like, I felt like I was on a mission from like the furry deity themselves, right? I wanted to like just make everybody join the furry fandom. I had such an amazing experience first joining the fandom that I wanted to share that joy I had with other people. And the only way I could think of doing it was by having everybody join, and we would just kind of form one giant furry community, right? Like, needless to say, that didn't quite work out the way I intended. I did end up having a few people join the fandom that were kind of on the fence about it. Funny enough, they actually happened on military bases, but I would just kind of like just do this all the time. Whenever I would meet new people, I would somehow steer the conversation into joining the furry fandom. Like, it would start something kind of like, hey, have you played that new game that came out? Obviously, the game would have an animal character in it. I gotta have some way to tie it into it. People would say like, you know, yeah, I've played it, or, you know, I haven't played it yet. And then I would just go instantly into like how I love the art design of the characters, and there's an entire community that if you join, you can be like the people in this game, right? Man, it was wild. I was needlessly trying to recruit people to join the furry fandom. It sounds so weird when I say recruit, right? It's not like it's a cult, the cult of the fandom. For me at that point, it might as well have been. Another thing I would definitely do if I joined the fandom again is to stop trying to question why I joined the fandom to begin with. When I first joined the fandom, I don't know, I felt like I joined it kind of as an outsider. I noticed that a lot of people that I met had joined for reasons other than what I did. I joined the fandom because it just looked like a hella good time. I didn't join the fandom as like a refuge or like a safe place of acceptance, right? Like that was not the reason I joined to begin with. But I ended up having self-doubt. By meeting so many different people with different reasons of why they joined, mine sounded so shallow. I just wanted to drink, right? Like I wanted to drink, party, meet some new people. I kind of felt a little disconnected from the fandom for a bit because I felt like I was taking advantage of people. I was like an outsider who just jumped in and started doing stuff, and then like, you know, people start asking me for advice. I felt like an outsider, which is really weird. It's kind of like an imposter syndrome. You feel like you lied a little bit on your resume and all of a sudden you're like a rocket engineer, right? I mean, that went away, right? That went away. But it took like a good year or two to kind of get rid of that feeling. If I had joined the fandom earlier though, I would definitely stop having those thoughts, because the furry fandom isn't really like an object, right? It's not like you have to follow some kind of specific furry creed to be a furry. It's just a group of people that kind of bond together over a common interest. I would say I'd have a better time when I first joined if I took that to heart. And then the last thing I would do if I joined the furry fandom, like if I had a chance to just do it over again, I would reach out more to people. I'm just so bad at initiating conversations in person. That's a totally different experience. Like, I don't know if you've met me before in person or not, or, you know, if I run into you at a furry con, you'll see for yourself. I love seeking people out and finding out what's going on. I like to be invested in the moment with people. For some reason, social media and I just do not get along. There's a lot of messages on here that I just don't check. It's not even that. It's not even like checking the messages. It's responding and like initiating conversation. Remember when I was talking about that other part earlier? I'm just so bad at starting conversations with people. The worst thing you could do when you message somebody is to be like, hi, and then just leave it at that. It's so awkward. I feel like I would come across that way to somebody if I just messaged them out of the blue. I don't want to be one of those hi furries, right? I would definitely reach out a lot more to people. I'm trying to get better with it, right? Even to this day, I'm still not that great at starting conversations. If I had a chance to like join the furry fandom again, I would definitely be a bit more proactive. But hey, these are just kind of like a combination of things that I feel like off the top of my head, if I did, I would have, I don't know, a better time in the furry fandom. And this isn't to say that like I'm having a terrible time now. That's far from the case. I'm having like the greatest time of my life. But like, you know, if I had a chance to do it over and make it a little bit more of a higher score, if I were to give the furry fandom a score, with a 10 being the best, I say I've been at a solid 9.5. I'd say doing these steps would help make it a perfect 10. If you had anything you could tell yourself that you feel like would help you out in the furry fandom, if you had a chance to start it all over again, what would it be? You know, like let me know. Put some comments down below of stuff that you would do differently. Yeah, I want to hear your perspective, you know? I want to see what you do differently. Chances are I might have missed one of those too as well, right? For all of our differences, humans do seem to have quite a few common regrets. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. If you like this content, feel free to like and subscribe, and I don't know, maybe hit that bell button for some notifications. All right, y'all. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Oh my goodness, I'd like to give a huge shout out to the following Gold Egg patrons: York Bjornison, STL Motovlogs, Ashira Pony, Moodle, DH, Apollo Bunny, Dynamo, Emerith Cantonine, and Cinderkitten. And a huge shout out to all of my other patrons and supporters as well. If you want to consider becoming a patron, check me out on the link above. Oh my goodness, thank you.